is I know there's a lot of fear. I know we have the optic here as well of going down to 92 for Bitcoin. I know XRP can go to $1.77 to $1.82. But what I encourage everybody to do if you're watching this morning, just take a deep breath. Let your mind reset. We make the worst decisions possible when we act in a state of fear. We always make wrong decisions when we act in a panic state. Whether it's going to go down or not, clear your mind. Because there is the opportunity here for it to actually go up for a short squeeze, like I talked yesterday. It's absolutely set up here to go up. And some things, maybe XRP's not showing it, but IOTA's up 4.8% today, which I'm very happy to see. Very, very happy. Algo's up 5.44%. I'm very happy to see that. As some of you know, I've been cleaning up my portfolio a bit. With the way these markets are moving up and down, left and right, it's giving me an opportunity to slash off some of the fat, add on some of the meat, so that I can pack in and do what I need to do in the overall grand scheme. Instead of having all the speculation within my portfolio, I went more to the real coup de grace, so to say, as some of you know. That just means heavier in IOTA, heavier in Algo, heavier in XDC. Having the ability with SHX, which we'll talk about. Having the Epic. But that also means going heavier in some means going away from others. Like confining the portfolio. So what I ended up doing is I did something spectacular in my own mind, because I now have over 200,000 XDC. As while we dropped, I decided I'm going deeper into XDC for a reason. The same reason that I used with XRP when it was back at 50 cents and 40 cents and 30 cents. Remember the good old days. That same logic and reasoning that I used there, I'm using on some others that I believe are going to have all-inspiring alt seasons. But I don't want to have my vision in 500 different places. If the rest of them do good, God bless them. But I'm going to keep my attention focused in a very direct line. And the reason for it is I know what certain ones are. So XRP, we know the reason why we focus on. There's a reason why we're not selling it. Unless you had overages and you sold it when we discussed when it was at 350 or 330. But we're at a different spot now. We obviously XLM, XDC, the 3Xs. But then it goes beyond that, because XDC is the R3 Corda. And that's a whole big thing that is still untapped. And this is something I want everybody to pay attention to before we get into the analysis, so that in case we do have a further drop, or if we go up and we validate a reversal here as we're getting into mid-November. It's almost mid-November now, the time of grace, in my opinion. This is when the real race actually starts. Now, there's still going to be, there could be a retrace still, but I believe the pace is going to pick up here. With that being said, XDC with the R3 side of things, IOTA, please don't mimic. Don't minimize its ability here in this next cycle. It's the leader within the Internet of Things. It's a mainframe token. It's IOTA, IOTA on the exchanges. If you're interested in buying IOTA, there's in the video description below and our pinned comments in this very chat, you can see WEEX. That's where I have my 100,000 IOTA. And I've been able to increase it by having strategic sell-offs and then rebuying after drops. I'm pretty much done with that now, unless it shows me something crazy. I'm not going to jeopardize having been able to increase from 40,000 to 100,000. It's just, that whole sector to me is something that needs to be attacked. Then there's Algo. I know a lot of people don't like Algo, but start looking in the South Africa, African countries. Start looking in those regions and you'll understand why it's becoming a broader medium of exchange. So much like we're trying to create a way to pay with XRP, how we're creating the treasuries and how the USA is going and the central banks are going towards XRP. We're starting to look at this in like the areas, I guess you could look in Uganda and places like that, but they're starting to look at algo in that same kind of fashion. But it's more than just that. Algo to me is like XRP when it was dirt cheap. Into that tone, I have 50,000 algo. So I have a confined viewpoint now. Back to what the old days used to point to. You know, XLM is, I think, the expansion of XRP. I think that they didn't actually separate. I think that they had a nice agreement because they had to tap so many parts of the market, and it was just a lot easier to create the off token, which is the exact same as XRP, just done in a slightly different coding, as XLM. So you've got to have those three parts. So that's the directive there. There's 20,000 there in my settings. I'm gonna stop so much talking about certain things, but at the same time they might get talked about. But I want to focus more on Linea because that's our copy trade, and I think it's doing rather well. You know, it's come down, but I think it's doing what it needs to do now. The one thing that I'm still paying attention to is the 10th. I think it's 2.08 billion tokens are released on the 10th. Nobody knows how the price is going to react. But it's on the verge here still of backtesting a very big move to the upside. And if we can get out of this channel, we could very well get back into a much higher point. Like back up into those higher ranges. At least get back up to the 200-day and the 4-hourly. Like this is going to be one of those that squeezes for so long, and one day you're just going to see either a 50, 100. It's just going to be a big move back up. I believe we still have to come up and retest that 435 area. So I think, you know, these ranges right now are very interesting. SHX, as I talked about, there's the opportunity there if you want SHX. They actually have it on Kraken right now, but be very aware of the pricing. You have to be very vigilant so you get the proper pricing because there's not a lot of volume. So you got to do it in small limit orders if you're going to do it.